Good morning. We're currently in Washington, although that's Oregon across the water. We are at the start of a 45-day road trip. Made our way down from Fairbanks. Took about 6 days to get from Fairbanks to where we are right now. The end goal, or I guess turning point, is going to be Overland Expo East in Virginia in 2 weeks. And then we're going to slowly start making our way back. But we're heading to Redmond, Oregon today to pick up a battery from Expo 360. That's going to go on the back of the Jeep, and then we're going to make our way over to Colorado. So, gonna pack up camp, make breakfast, and then hit the road. Odin's already eating breakfast. It's a good 45 degrees warmer this morning than it was when we left Fairbanks. It'll be about 85 degrees today, and Fairbanks got snow last night. So we're definitely chasing fall colors in warmer weather. Now, on top of our normal equipment that I pack for trips, I also brought the awning walls. So I've got the OVS 270-degree awning. I grabbed the awning walls to go with it. Unfortunately, the first wall zipper is completely busted, so I'm hoping to find a fix for that. But we were in a torrential downpour a couple days ago, and the walls helped keep everything dry and allowed us to continue working even through the hail and thunder. Just got to Expo 360 where we're going to be working for the day. I've got to do 9 to 5 Alaska hours, which is 10 to 6 Pacific time. And so just finished my first couple meetings in the morning and grabbed the battery and the mounting bracket, and they've got to go in the back seat where I've currently got a 100 amp hour loaner battery from Alaska Overlander. So we're gonna do a quick battery swap, let everything cycle in with the Red Arc Manager 30 system with Red Vision, and then use the solar to get some charge going while we're working, and then we'll pull out of here probably about 6. not pretty, but it works. So we've got 240 amp hours of power right there. That is not going to move because it's basically wedged between the Milwaukee setup and the bar. And so when I get back to Alaska, that's going to get remounted with Total Truck, but that is 2.5 times the size of the loaner we were running. And the thinking is if that works well, I can actually stack another 240 amp hours on top of that, and we'll either run them stacked or we'll do one on this side, one on the other side to give us 500 amp hours of power, because all of that through the inverter runs the engine block heater and oil pan heater and transmission heater in there. And then we've got the shore power plug-in right here, which will both charge the battery and run the engine block heater. Finished getting the battery installed. It's currently calibrating. It's got about half charge on it, so by the time I stop tonight it should be full charge. Got an oil change, tire rotation and all that at a Jeep dealership in Bend, and we're about 4 hours east of Bend along Route 20 at a reservoir. Stopped Odin's eating dinner and just relaxing, getting some water in. I stretched my legs and having a snack, watching the sunset. Looks like there's some smoke or whatever behind me, so we'll be mindful of that. But I'm gonna hang out for a little bit, watch sunset, and then drive another couple hours and try and find camp tonight closer to the Wyoming border. So we made it to Jackson, Wyoming this morning. Stopped off at Down on Glen DOG for their steak and egg breakfast burrito. I may have driven a 6-hour detour just to pick one up, but well worth it. Now we're posted up in the visitor center parking lot at Grand Teton National Park to get some solar to charge the batteries and then work. Because of the 2-hour time difference, I'll end up working until about 7 o'clock tonight. And then we'll pack up, run back into Jackson Hole, grab a shower, do some laundry, and then we'll probably head another 2 or 3 hours east, closer to Denver. We don't need to be at Denver until Thursday morning, so we'll take it a little bit slower, but the drive last night was a little bit longer than I expected, but still ended up at a nice campsite on Snake River. So, gonna hop into a couple meetings. Odin's got food, and then I'll end up having to trim his nails a little bit before we leave today because I noticed they were long. But full day of work. Thankfully, it's a gorgeous day. The moon's out over the mountains, so probably do a time lapse while I'm cranking away in some Zoom meetings. All right, done with work for the day. Time to go back into town, drop some trash off, get a shower in, and then do some laundry. I had to stop at Down on Glen DOG one more time on the way out of town. The best part is they serve their breakfast burritos all day. So he just made me a Philly cheesesteak, egg, potato, banana pepper, and jalapeno pepper burrito. Out of focus? There we go. 10 out of 10 would drive from Alaska to Jackson Hole just for this burrito. Had it for breakfast, had it for dinner. I kind of want to get one to go so I can have it for breakfast tomorrow. So once I'm done eating, Odin's already had his dinner. I'm going to start my way down to Rocky Mountain National Park. See how close we can get tonight. It's already 8 o'clock in Jackson Hole. So we'll see how far we can get. We'll work probably from within inside the park tomorrow, and then we've got to make it about an hour south of Denver tomorrow night. So we're making good time. It's about 7 hours total to Sherpa equipment, which is where we need to be on Thursday. So if we do 3 to 4 hours tonight and then 3 to 4 hours tomorrow, we'll be solid. But I'm gonna finish this first and the fries and start downloading some maps on Onyx just so I know where I'm going. Good morning. Looks like we spent the night in an old cow pasture. I was driving down National Forest track and saw the fire ring behind us, so pulled off and spent the night. Slept wonderfully. It ended up being probably about 32 or 35 degrees overnight, super clear skies. And then when I woke up this morning, realized that I'd actually camped next to a creek, which is super nice. That explains the noise. Couldn't tell if it was road noise or water last night. And then it looks like there's actually a a skeleton a little bit away from the tent. So gonna get Odin out, start breakfast and pack up, and then explore a little bit before we head back on the road.
Hi, bud.
Good morning. When I pulled in last night, I could just barely see the white on the skeleton. Figured I'd check it out this morning. Doesn't have a head or legs or majority of the body. Looks like it's just the spine. I'm assuming it's a cow that died and then the wolves and coyotes got to it, given its size, but who knows. We're all packed up. We got about 4 hours until I have to start working thanks to time difference, so I'm gonna try and get closer to Rocky Mountain National Park and probably end up stopping just west of the park, and then we'll drive in after work tonight and find camp, and then tomorrow we just need to be about an hour south of Denver by 11 a.m. So I'll work once I get to Sherpa. We got the office set up, do a brief tour, and then I gotta hop into meetings, but we're right along a nice stream, which is helpful because I'm gonna need to refill our water jugs before I leave. So I'll toss the Life Straw filter in and just let it drip in. But it's a little hot, it's about 80 degrees, so we're probably gonna use the Milwaukee fan to cool down. But got a nice desk set up, shade, thanks to the awning walls. Again, the awning one is still busted, so OVS is sending out a zipper for me, which is gonna be super helpful. But we've got enough room for Odin to lay in. Back here, I've got his food and water set up so that he can stay nice and cool out of the sun. And there's enough of a breeze going that he should be good, but gonna set up and get some work done. Water's too silty to filter through the Life Straw filter. Pretty sure I could still filter it, but I don't really want to clog this up because I'll need it the rest of the trip. So I'm just gonna have to buy a couple gallons of water to fill up the jugs. Packing up, head on back to the road, and then on our way to Rocky Mountain National Park. Close the gate and then open the gate just to grab the camera. So we're just going to grab the camera and break the fourth wall so I can move the camera and then put the gate back up. Down to Colorado. Trail into camp last night was rather interesting in the dark. The sign to start the road said high clearance 4x4 required, and then gave a vehicle length. And only about halfway up did I recognize why they were posting that. The trail itself was relatively easy in the Jeep, thankfully, but I can imagine if you don't have a lifted vehicle with 4 low, you'd struggle or potentially slide off. So We are on our way down the mountain now into Estes Park. Gonna grab gas and then head on over to Sherpa. Good morning from Kansas. Yesterday was a very busy day, both meetings and installs and driving. So we left Estes Park yesterday morning, drove down to Fort Collins area to stop off at Sherpa Equipment Company to get a Moonlight rack installed, picked up a Roam travel case, got that mounted, and then spent the majority of the day in back-to-back-to-back meetings. So didn't capture much of any content at all, but drove a couple hours outside of Denver. We're now in Kansas. We crossed the border and stayed at a rest stop loop where you're allowed to camp one night. Gonna spend about 45 minutes repacking so that we can move stuff up on top of the vehicle and create more space in the back. And then we're gonna hit the road again. The plan for today is to get to West Mineral and get to Big Iron Overland Rally. It's been hard to figure out the actual size of Brutus in the photos, but I'm still a good 4.5 miles away, and Brutus is literally towering over the trees in the distance. So I'm still 7-8 minutes from the actual event, and I can see the giant machinery over the trees from 4.5-5 miles away. For reference, that's a full-size power wagon, and that's the size of Brutus. So Derek is setting up his tent. Jerry and everyone else is already fully set up. We've got the Gladiator mostly set up and ready for camp. Odin's already explored campsite. So I'll give you a quick tour of camp, and then I've got to start making dinner before the sun goes down. We got Derek set up on one side, and then on the other side of Derek, we've actually sandwiched him in. We got Jerry and Natural State Overland and their Gladiator, and while they have a rooftop tent up, they're very much ground tenters, so they've got the full Gazelle set up, air mattress and everything on the inside. It's actually super sweet. They've got their rig set up. And then we've got Derek's awning set, my awning set, and then they've got the moon shade up, so we've got like a nice living room area. We're right about lunchtime right now, and it's getting up there. It's probably about 85 degrees. So on top of Big Iron having showers, which I enjoyed this morning, they also have a nice man-made lake or pond, if you will, that has been getting cleaned up over the last couple of years. So Odin's gonna go take a swim, try and cool down. He's been panting, drinking a ton of water. We've got him in front of a fan all day today, but as soon as we found out there was this pond slash lake, figure he'll enjoy a nice quick swim, and then we'll go back. He'll probably take a nap, and then I'll keep looking around.
Hi, bud.
Come on. Hey, this way. Come on. Come on. You got it.
Good boy.
This way. I did steak tacos for lunch and passed them out a little bit, and then Derek is going to cook up some steaks and some green beans. So we've got the Stoke Voltix Nomad ready for the green beans, and then he's going to cook up some steaks. I think he's got the Skotti grill. So he's cooking dinner, and then I get to just relax and film it.
So Odin's, if it's a little over, I figure that's probably better for him.
Odin's is over is fine.
I think it works better going across this way.
So while Derek's cooking dinner, he's doing his steak and beans. He's doing my steak since he's got the Skotti grill, and then he's also doing a steak for Odin because, of course, I'm going to feed Odin some steak. We've got Jerry and his wife from Natural State Overland doing their kind of like rig walkthrough in the background, and then we've got the folks from Dirt Rock team that I met 2 years ago in Arkansas, and they've got the sweet power wagon over here. We kind of spread out just a little bit.
This one's probably done for my liking.
We got Odin's steak right there. We got my steak with some fresh ground salt, pepper, beans, and then Derek's steak. And then this thing went from 0 to 100 fully cooked green beans in like 10 minutes. These were done before the steaks were done. And then there's the chef for the day with the view of Brutus.
So we pulled out a big iron this morning, heading east towards North Carolina. Stopped off in Springfield to see the folks from All Roads Taken and grab some lunch. And Odin and I are now somewhere in Kentucky. Just crossed over from Missouri, and it looks like we're hitting the southern end of the hurricane, because as we got towards the eastern side of Missouri and into Kentucky, suddenly the sky was completely clouded over. We're hitting little pockets of rain. So the goal tonight is to get to Virginia. It sounds weird to go from Kentucky to Virginia if I need to go to North Carolina, but the hurricane has taken out most of the highways from Tennessee into North Carolina, and they'll likely be out for some time. So we're having to go all the way up to Virginia and then straight south into North Carolina.
I stopped along the Blue Ridge Parkway. The plan was to go all the way down to Cherokee, North Carolina to start the parkway, but by the time I left the Winston-Salem, Kernersville area, it was too late, and it would have been another 200 miles just to get to Cherokee to start on the southern end. So went in and joined about halfway up. So we camped last night in an ATV staging parking lot just off of the parkway. So we'll hit a Walmart and then we'll find a place to camp tonight because we can't get into Expo until Thursday. It's the morning of day one of Expo East, and we got a nice surprise. Went to the instructor orientation yesterday, and they needed an extra vehicle in the showcase DIY area. So we quickly packed up the truck and the trailer and moved it, and we are now in the DIY showcase row next to this monster rig. And then if we look down the other end, there's quite a few others like it. So they've got the two rigs from Alaska in the row. Tim from Truckhouse Life is on the far end on the other side of me, and then I'm down here. So they've got Tim from Anchorage, who drove all the way down, and I obviously drove all the way down from Fairbanks. Good morning. We are just outside of New River Gorge National Park on the Virginia side. Stayed at my first ever hip camp. It's a gentleman's property, or family's property, right with a creek through the back. And then we have a guest. My mom drove all the way out from Cincinnati to meet me, so we're going to do New River Gorge, the scenic byway today, and then we're going to make our way over to Maryland to see my aunt. If you do go and visit New River Gorge National Park, there's a scenic drive just past Fayetteville. I think it's the Fayette Station Road. It's got a couple switchbacks. The Gladiator with the trailer and my mom's Winnebago van made it without issue. There's a little bit of a low clearance depending on your travel trailer, but if you've got anything that can go off-road or you might do some trails in, you shouldn't have any issue. Just don't bring a giant RV down. Friday morning. It's right around 7:15. Brian got in this morning about 6:30, so we're gonna have to go and find him and make sure he's in the right location. But there is a trail ride meeting starting at 8:30, and so we're gonna start a fire and make breakfast real quick.
Craig and Kyle are going to do a harder ride. Where do you guys think you should meet and when? Who wants to go on an easy ride? 1, 2, 3, 6 rigs. Speak now or forever hold your peace for easy. And then who else is going on the ladies' ride?
And then if everyone wants to follow Cindy, I'll take up the rear in the red Gladiator.
When you get on these quote-unquote county roads, you'll be like, oh no, this is a trail. But it's a county road.
Gotcha, cool.
So we're airing down. Our trail guide today is none other than the founder of Northology and Overland the Red, Cindy. So Cindy's got us doing, I think it's Fixer Road on the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, which is nice, I'd say tame. I wouldn't call it easy, but a nice tame ride. We've got a mixture of seasoned off-roaders and some new folks who this is their first trip out. So Cindy's gonna take up the front and lead us through, and then I'm gonna take up the rear, and then we can bump anyone that gets stuck. But it'll be about 2 hours. There's Miss Northology herself. It'll take about 2 hours on the trail, and it looks like the fall colors are just starting to pop, and then the sun's just peeking over, so it's gonna be a gorgeous trail ride.
Coming down this hill, there is going to be some washouts that you'll have to navigate over. So just take your time and leave some space.
Odin's a good shop dog. He does not like trails. So he's watching to make sure we don't do anything dumb. All right, bud? Made it back to the campground after this morning's trail. It was only about an 8-mile trail, but it took us 3.5 hours from when we left to get to the trail and back, with a couple stops and everyone just kind of hanging out. So I bought steak and left it at the grocery store. So instead of steak and onion sandwiches, we're gonna do sausage and onion sandwiches. And so still gonna cook it up, but I grabbed 2 of the Nomad cooking systems. I've got one with the stock pot. I'm gonna do the onions in, let them kind of caramelize up, and then I've got the little grill pan that I'm gonna use for the sausages. And I've got sandwich buns, some mozzarella cheese, and some seasonings, and I'll toss it together. All right, so sandwiches are done. The sausages are round. Brian, come back. I'm trying to bring you food. They're not both yours, one's mine. But just be careful, the sausages are round and you gotta be careful how you eat it so that they don't just like Probably.
I've only walked those sausages.
Tomorrow is October 19th. 5 years ago on October 19th, I got a text from my husband when I was at my last job I worked at, and he said, I believe in you, put in your 2 weeks notice. And not that I was waiting for his blessing or permission. We always knew that I would do that. But he was just like encouraging me to just, honey, I think now's the time. You really should just go for it. I just knew I had to start doing something, and I didn't know where it would lead, but I had to do something, and I'm an oversharer. And I mean, there's enough of everything to go around, and there's no need to keep it all to yourself.
Good morning, bud. It's morning of Saturday? Yeah, it's Saturday morning. Gonna wake Brian up and then go up to the morning trail huddle so that we figure out where we're going. I think the plan's to roll out in about an hour. So I got Brian up and get him some coffee. Brian, you alive?
Did you air up again?
Yeah, I had to get on a highway to get my tire fixed.
So, we're all airing down. Chris and Jill from 1941 Adventures is going to lead us. We're doing Mountain Spring Road. So, looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, looks like 2 Wranglers. Nope, 1 Wrangler, 3 Gladiators, a Tacoma 4Runner, and then Craig is pulling up the rear in his Chevy. So this was rated a medium plus trail by Chris and Jill, which if yesterday's trail was an easy trail, I'm a little concerned what a medium plus trail is, but they've assured us that the truck can make it and drive back to Alaska. So we'll see what happens. Am I the only manual in the group?
Xterra is also manual.
Perfect. So once you go through an obstacle, let me know how bad it was.
Need you by the quick lane.
Yep, no problem.
So on the 4Runner behind me, you might want to take the other way because of our short wheelbase. Anyone with a longer wheelbase should be okay. Do that on inspection.
spotted traction. I was like, let me get the car.
When we dropped in, it touched the bottom of our bumper. Doesn't dip our wings, doesn't nothing like that. We're going to pause here at the front and just pre-walk this little section here because this is where it got kind of rowdy last year. It's obviously a lot less water, but we're just going to look at it and see if there's anything sticking out we need to be avoiding and whatnot. Yeah, you can see wherever, if they had one where it did a little bit. Yeah.
I'm not as worried about that
When you
because
come
my
up-
hitch will have clearance on the right.
Or just do that. Nope. Keep straight yet. Hard driver. Okay, now come towards me a little bit. Okay, hard driver. Nice and slow. Driver. Slow. Okay, right there. Turn driver. There you go, right there. Bump it. Got the rock sliders. There you go, right there. Bump it. Got the rock sliders.
We're maybe 2 miles into the trail. Chris has been walking us all through the first 2 obstacles. On both of them, the easy quote-unquote bypass is harder than the actual trail. So the Jeep made it through the first one up and into the hill decently well, and then on the drop in, Chris popped my passenger side mirror in so that I didn't tear it off, and then I ended up riding on the rock rails, so I'm glad I have it. Dragging the trailer hitch a little bit, but also glad I have that so it's not hitting the fender. And now we've got another Gladiator about to drop in to the tub that I just exited.
So how do you get a tree stuck in between? That's crazy. It's literally...
Did you guys go that way, or you went straight up?
The campsite that we stayed at the night before the block.
Hey!
It's like you got out.
Look at that big fry bar.
So Adam, what are you doing?
I'm playing Dr. Savaggio.
I got a tree stuck between the wheel and the tire, and the bead's still intact. It's not leaking air, but I want to get it out so that it doesn't pop anything. But it also doesn't help that it's basically just straight up rotten. There we go. Yeah. So we got all of the tree out of my tire. It looks like Enoch hit it first, and then the 4Runner in front of me took a little bit, and then I just took the entire branch. And that's just a fixer-upper. Oh, that's where they're saying it gets a bit sketchy.
Banana peeler apple part.
Oh, and it's squishy.
Dude, that's nasty. It looks like a flake of paint right there.
Oh, jeez. I thought you were down.
No, that's a taillight.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, sure. I'll write her name on there. She's pedaling her dog.
So, one of the things that I would check when you get back to camp, fired it up,
And
dust just started flying. I'm like,
Hunter.
yeah, that's part of the issue.
Hunter.
Congratulations.
Now you have more than you know.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You got
no one rolled. No one suffered body damage, major body damage. I think everyone's lights still work. Yeah. Thank God for rock sliders.
Hello, yes, hi. Yes, hello. Hey. Rain. Hi. Hello.
There.
He can travel with us now.
Now he's
Always there with us.
I'm Christina. This is Nate. We're with Go Go Goodness.
Hey, move the microphone out.
We're taking care of your fire needs over there tonight. If it's great, look for Nate. If it's terrible, my name is Cindy. We like dogs more than people. That's it. Thank you.
You figure out what you want to do by looking at your passions and what can you do that you'll stay up all night or that you'll forget to eat or you could do for hours and hours and hours. And that's the kind of that helped me find the path to what I wanted to do.
It's Sunday morning, so it's the last morning of Overland the Red, and realistically everyone's just packing up and heading out today. We did a massive bonfire to end the weekend, and now I am completely tearing everything out of the trailer and out of the Jeep. so that I can repack, because from here on out it's going to be cold weather rather than warm weather. So I'm moving all the summer stuff into bins and moving all the winter stuff out for easy access. And then swapping out all the things for trails and like long stays at camp, because for the next 3 weeks it's going to be a lot of driving and not a ton of relaxing at camp. So we've got probably 45 minutes worth of packing. I still need to tear down this tent and my tent, but I'm waiting for the sun to hit it to burn off some of the condensation. And then we'll head north. After leaving Overland the Red, we are officially making our way back home to Fairbanks. Drove about 11.5 hours this morning, last night, to get to where we are right now. Tonight's camp, as you can see behind me, is right on Lake Superior. So we have a plethora of firewood that I'll have to haul up and cut, but it's about 11 a.m., so still a little bit early. I still need to set up camp. I've got a couple things out because I had to shoot off a couple of emails real quick. We've got Starlink set up. It's about 50 yards from the truck because of tree cover, but I still have a good 3 bars of Wi-Fi and enough to do a Zoom call. So I'm gonna go set up camp, grab some firewood and start processing, so when I start my meetings I'll actually get a fire going so that I'm not finishing the day in the dark and the cold. Ended up being about 58, 59 degrees overnight. Switched between clear skies and cloudy skies. And the waves got loud at one point, but otherwise was a really peaceful night. So Odin and I are gonna take a walk on the beach, and then we'll head back and pack up camp. Good morning. We're in a really cool dispersed campsite in Montana. We're in the Lewis and Clark National Forest, just outside of, I believe, Monarch. And it's this dry creek bed right off the edge of this like rock face / cliff. It's been getting darker earlier. It got dark at about 7 o'clock last night, so we pulled in about 8:15. Did some scouting on Onyx on our route. It was about 30 minutes out of the way, but looked to be a really nice site. And for sure this morning as the sun came up, it was nice and quiet, no traffic through last night. Did get a little cold, but we have a wonderful new piece of gear that I picked up from Go-Go Goodwins on Instagram. They built a diesel heater into a Milwaukee Packout, which is sweet because everything fits inside of it. So we ran that last night. It's the first night we had to use the diesel heater on this trip, but it kept us super toasty even on its lowest setting. So we're gonna pack up the truck and the trailer and then head over to Kalispell. What I've learned is one of the most important things about camping for Hunter is having a really good fire. We've been parked at camp for maybe 30 seconds and they've already gone out to get firewood. We'll get it started.
Nice little starter fire. I'll get the embers nice and warm for the real fire.
Yep, then we can crack the logs over. Gonna stay there forever.
Save it. It's so funny.
Timed that perfectly, dude.
Great work, guys. Great
Teamwork.
work.
You know, Adam's the senior expert here making fires. I'm sure.
Just look at the crust on that. All right, we're gonna need some crust ASMR. You gotta eat the crusty one. Odin, do you want some crusty bread? He's like, yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, delicious, thank you.
Odin's like, I'm gonna come over to you. You got bread.
You want some? Can you have a piece?
Great.
So Hunter's making tacos, steak tacos. Odin's already had a piece of steak. And then Blake and his wife have homemade sourdough with garlic butter. And then they're doing I think like a tortellini soup. But Odin is paying very close attention to Hunter's cooking to make sure Hunter doesn't mess up and drop a piece of steak on the ground for him.
I think the highest that I've got up is like
5.6.
I'll go to F22.
That's only because it's so bright out.
So Zoden.
Good morning. It's a little bit chilly this morning. The fire picked right back up, tossed a couple logs on, and used the Milwaukee fan just to heat up the embers from last night. I've got potatoes boiling in the Stoke Nomad system, and then we're going to fry them up, do some crispy breakfast potatoes, and then some eggs and cheese. Bourbon barrel hot sauce. That's good.
Are you carrying when you go out there?
Good morning from Canada. We are officially on our way back home. We crossed into British Columbia a couple days ago and spent the time in Vancouver visiting Brian and Megan and kind of resetting, got an oil change, tire rotation, all of the normal maintenance items before driving back up the Alaska Highway. Spent last night camped in a field along Route 1 or Canada 1, right above like a cliff and a river, with some road noise and some trains going by, but otherwise perfectly peaceful for the night. It did get a little cold. It's a little cold this morning. You can see my ears are a little red, so we're in diesel heater season. Good morning from Co-op Lake, British Columbia. We are probably about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours outside of Prince George. We're taking the Cassiar Highway back home. The original thought was to do the Alaska Highway, but because we were coming up from Vancouver, taking the Cassiar is actually 200 miles shorter, which with the trailer equals about 5 hours difference. We finally hit our first snow of the trip. It was snowing a little bit when we pulled into the campground last night in the dark, but woke up this morning and there's a very light dusting on the ground. It was 30 degrees when we got in, and then it clouded over overnight, so it's probably closer to 40 this morning. So it's not terrible. So I've had this shower cube that I picked up at Expo East on the trailer for the last couple of weeks, but as you'll notice, I actually took the OVS awning off in Vancouver. I stopped off to see my friends Megan and Brian, who we camped with earlier this year up in Alaska, and Brian helped me get the awning down. I've got a replacement cover coming in from OVS, and I didn't want to try and put it on by myself in -5 degrees or even 0 degrees up in Fairbanks, so it was a nice balmy 55-60 degrees in Vancouver, so we took it off. It's now on the trailer, and for the rest of this trip and most of winter, I'm not going to be needing the awning, but I am going to use the shower cube. So I'm going to mount the shower cube to the brackets that I had the awning mounted to, so that if I need to get changed or use the bathroom, it's now on the passenger side and it's not hanging off of the driver's side on the trailer. And then once GFC has them back in stock, I'll go and buy 2 more of their universal mounting brackets. They were out of stock, which is why I didn't stop on the way through when I was driving through Montana. And now the slow process of not having a ratcheted 13mm. After the uninstall of the awning and reinstall of this, I need some ratcheting wrenches for sure. So we're almost packed up. I've got the diesel heater mostly put away, but I ran the diesel heater for work on 2 out of 6, so a third of the way, call it low if you will, for about 7 hours today. And I filled it up this morning, and there's not enough left in the tank to last tonight, but it's not enough to go to a gas station. It'll be about $1 to fill up. And so I've got 5 gallons of diesel in this jerry can here, but the difficulty is going to be how do I get it from there to there. And I was in Canadian Tire earlier today and saw this. It is a battery powered fuel pump, or rather pump of any kind, but this will end up being perfect to transfer the fuel from the jerry can over to the 5-liter tank in the diesel heater. We are at the start of the Stewart-Cassiar highway. It's 300 miles from Kitawanga to Dease Lake. We're going to try and get to the junction for Stewart and Hyder, Alaska to refill, but if we don't end up making it before they close, because it's a couple hundred miles north, we've got enough gas to get to Dease Lake, and we'll end up spending the night somewhere between the junction and Dease Lake. it's 11:34. We are probably about 30 to 40 minutes south of Dease Lake. We're right on, I think it's the Stoke River. There's a gravel lot that I'd marked when we came down this way to Expo Pacific Northwest. I'm gonna wait for the heater to kick in and warm the tent up a little bit and then hop in. I've got Starlink running so I can figure out the route for tomorrow. But at the pace we're going, we should be home in 2 days. Good morning. We are probably about 20 minutes north of the town of Dease Lake, and this is Dease Lake behind us. We spent the night about 40 minutes south of the town of Dease Lake along the Stoke River. It's a good thing we stopped when we did, because as soon as we crossed over the river, the roads turned into the white concrete, which is essentially ice and snowpack with a little bit of gravel, which is what we have in Fairbanks all winter, but was not expecting to see it this far south this early. So we've been in four-wheel drive all morning. The trailer's already fishtailed once. Thankfully it wasn't terrible, and we were able to correct it The tires on the trailer are snow and ice rated, and then obviously we're running the KO2s, so those are snow and ice rated. But there's 0 service now until we get to Watson Lake, so we're probably 3-ish hours to Watson Lake. It's right around 11 a.m. We got a late start this morning because we didn't pull into camp until midnight last night, but we're probably going to do a good 600 to 800 miles today to try and get as close to Whitehorse as possible so that we can cross into Alaska tomorrow. We're in Watson Lake. We just filled up with gas. I want to say it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And every time we stop through Watson Lake, we have to go and make sure our license plates are still there. Back in May of 2022, my mom and I drove up from Detroit for the first time, and we put all of our old license plates in the Signpost Forrest. And so all of the times I drive through, I have to go find them and then send a photo so that she knows they're still there. And they're still here. This was my last license plate in Michigan before moving to Alaska, and now I've got Maroc on the truck. So now that we found my license plates, there was a challenge from Megan and Brian, who I stayed with in Vancouver, to find theirs. And they gave me a couple clues, but it's still needle in a haystack hunt because there's over 100,000 signs at a Signpost Forest. So the only clue I have is that it is near the bridge. It's on a tree, not a post, and it's high up. And so I'm walking around the bridge checking all of the trees, and they put the sign here 2 or 3 years ago. So there's also a chance that it's faded, but we're gonna keep seeing if we can't find it. Well, after about 20 minutes, and you can tell my ears are getting cold, we found it. That was a whole lot harder than I was expecting it to be, but there's their sign. So that was tough. like I said, 100,000+ signs with only 3 clues that it was high up, it was near the bridge, and it was on a tree. It's like, okay. All right, now we're on our way off to Teslin. May stop there to get dinner if the restaurant's still open. Not exactly the prettiest camp, but everything was snowed in and closed, so it'll work for tonight. Since we didn't transfer diesel fuel this morning, I've got to transfer a gallon of diesel into the heater before we fire it up for the night.
That was a whole lot easier than yesterday. I think there was just too much diesel in the tank. So that's set. Yeah, and I'll get this thing started. We'll get it priming, and we'll be good to go.
Heaters going right now. Gonna get Odin up into the tent and then gonna crawl in. I think we've got one more night left on the trip. We're still probably about 12 hours out of Fairbanks, and with the trailer I don't want to be pulling it in the dark, so we'll likely stop maybe an hour or two short of Fairbanks tomorrow. Camp one more time and then pull in on Monday and start unloading. We are in the Yukon Territory. We spent the night down a snow-covered road on our way to one of the provincial parks about 40 minutes east of Haines Junction. The sign didn't say the provincial park was closed, so gave it a shot, and then got probably a mile away from the actual park campground and encountered probably about 8-9 inches of snow on the road. So backed the trailer up onto the road. No vehicles have been down this way, and parked it for the night. It was a bit tricky maneuvering the trailer in place on a dead end, but slept perfectly fine. We didn't get interrupted, and it's a little warmer this morning. I want to say it's in the mid-20s rather than the teens like it was last night. While we have enough gas to get to Haines Junction, we're right on the edge of it, especially doing four-wheel drive down the road. So, gonna transfer 5 gallons of fuel into the tank, which with 2 days left on the trip, we probably won't need it at this point anyways, so I'd rather put it in the truck now than when I get home. And this battery operated pump says it'll do about 1.5 gallons a minute, which probably about the same as if I tipped a jerry can over with the safety filler on it. And now I'm not spilling gas everywhere. Seriously. Well, we made it. It is currently 6 o'clock in the Yukon, which is behind me, and 4 o'clock in Alaska, which is now behind me. The Yukon doesn't observe daylight savings time, and so by crossing into the border, it is now 2 hours earlier. But as you can tell, the sun is basically going down as of right now. So the rest of the trip today will be in the dark. Let me see if I can make the camera brighter. The rest of the trip today will be in the dark, so we're gonna cross the border, get to Stoke, fill up on gas and pick up some drinks, and then find a place to camp for the night, and then we'll do the rest of the journey home tomorrow.
This is, I don't even know how many times this truck has now passed the sign, but at least 5, maybe, no, it's probably more than 7 actually, now that I think about it. This truck has been up and back quite a few times and keeps getting bigger and better every time.